Welcome back everyone. Hi, if you're new, I'm Tori, and today we are going to be chatting about The Will of the Many by James Islington. I just actually mentioned this book in my recent reads video, and my thoughts on it at the time were just very rambly and all over the place. I just wanted to sit down and just gush about the book. But I love this book so much that I thought it deserved its own standalone video just so I can flesh out my thoughts and just really get into some details with you guys. And the same thing actually is going to go for another book that I finished recently, which was Empire of Silence by Ruocchio. This is book one in the Sun Eater series. I thought it was incredible, and so this book is also going to be getting its own standalone video sometime before the end of the week. So we're going to save all that for later, and we're going to get into The Will of the Many. This is my favorite book of 2024, just barely beating out Empire of Silence and Trials of Empire by Richard Swan. And when I say favorite book of 2024, this book came out last year. It's just my favorite book that I've read so far this year. This is going to be completely spoiler free just in terms of plot. I'm not going to be getting into Vis's background at all, and I'm definitely not going to be touching the ending at all. So you can feel free to watch it from beginning to end, but I am going to be chatting about just the structure of the world building, the hierarchy system in the book, and just will as a whole and how it's used, that sort of thing. So if you kind of just want to go in and experience all of that for yourself for the first time, I would say maybe don't watch this video, but nothing's going to be inherently spoilery. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and for those of you who have read The Will of the Many, I hope you love it just as much as I do. Let me know your thoughts on it down below. Even if you disagree, I would love to hear that too. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into the video. So just for a little bit of background, some context here, The Will of the Many is James Islington's fourth novel. He has the Licanius trilogy, which I actually wanted to read before I jumped into The Will of the Many. I just like to experience, you know, where authors started and see how they grow over the course of their work. But I just kept hearing so much about this book, and my intrigue for The Will of the Many just kept getting bigger and bigger. Finally, I was like, I can't wait anymore. I just need to read this book. I loved this so much that it actually has now sparked more intrigue for the Licanius trilogy. So I definitely want to jump into The Shadow of What Was Lost as soon as possible, because I mean, I know they're completely different, but I want to experience more of his work because I love this so much. So I want to start with the world first and then get into our main character Vis, because I feel like once you have a good understanding of the world, you can just really see Vis's place in it a little more clearly. So just kind of the setup and the foundation of this book and this world is really nothing we haven't seen before. You have this powerful republic. They have been expanding. They've been conquering different countries in these independent isles. And the world of the republic in this, I keep wanting to call it the Canon Republic, but there's a pronunciation in the back and it's called the Canon Republic. They have a very kind of Roman inspired structure to their way of life, just to the way that the hierarchy is set up in the society. And also the actual pyramid of the hierarchy resembles Roman structure. So you have, you know, people who can be a Quartus or a Quintus, a Septimus, and obviously the higher up you go, the more powerful you are, and you have everybody else at the bottom. And so the world in this has what's called will, and will is basically just things that make you you, your strength, your intelligence, your just different capabilities, and just everyday people who are on the lowest part of the society. They can cede their will to people who are higher up in this pyramid for the republic. So that by itself is just kind of like very, very basic setup of the world and what we're working with. So in knowing all that, the republic, again, they've been making these different expansions, conquering these different places. And this is where our main character, Vis, comes into play. This is from a place that is one of the last places to be conquered by the Canon Republic and brought into this hierarchy structure and basically made to play by the republic's rules. And I know I did all of my rambling in my recent reads video, but it is so good. Everything in this is so good. And so Vis, having his homeland conquered, he has been in the republic trying to do his best to survive. And the whole time he's been trying to survive in the republic, he has been just adamant about not ceding his will to people who are more powerful than he is. So that's kind of the basic setup for this book. It's told in first person, so it's really nice that we're only following Vis, but also there are some things, which I'll get into later, there are some things that begin happening in the republic that really start building over the course of the story that I do feel like you don't really get a chance to see because we are with Vis all the time, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So the story really gets into motion. I'm gonna put this down. The story really gets into motion when Vis is approached by someone in a higher position of power to attend the academy, which is the elite institution in the republic. And again, like I said in my recent reads video, there's strings attached to this. Vis has to get into this academy, figure some things out, and basically not get caught at the same time. And that's really where the story kind of gets its momentum from. I love everything about this. I've been on this really epic world building kick, and I'm loving it so much. The world of The Will of the Many is just amazing. It is so fully realized. It is immersive. I love the structure of the hierarchy and just how world building in general unfolds over the course of the story. I think it's just so well done. I love the fact that there are no real info dumps in this book when it comes to the world building and how Will and the system works. You get thrown into the world and you just kind of watch things unfold. We get very little of things actually being explained in this book. There are definitely instances, but it's more like you're kind of figuring your way out in the world and just watching how characters react to certain situations, watch like power dynamics of people in power and how they interact with each other, and you just pick up on terminology from conversations. And I just love the way that that's handled in this, and it's done in a way that never, you know, really loses the immersion of that world building experience, which I love so much. It's just so good. I love the way James Islington handles that, and just the way that he handles exposition over the course of The Will of the Many. I think it's incredible. And then just in terms of actual characters, I love Vis. I love Vis. I love following him. I love being in his first person POV. The way Vis sees things and responds to certain situations, I think is so fascinating. Like I mentioned, this gets a lot of Red Rising comps just based on the Roman structure of it, but also I think Vis as a main character gets a lot of comparisons to Darrow. I actually think Vis is a better main character in this first book than Darrow was in the first Red Rising book. I can definitely see similarities between the two characters, but it is so different because Vis has a reason for why he is able to fight as well as he is, or able to perceive things a certain way, or, you know, just kind of quick on his feet, why he's so smart and sharp. This just has a really incredible backstory that fits so well into the current narrative that is being told in this book. And you know, the more you keep reading, you keep getting little nuggets of Vis's character, and they always factor into the academy and what's going on in the academy in such a satisfying way. I love the way Vis interacts with all the characters in this book. I love how he can think on his feet, how he can outsmart certain characters by just things that you as the reader aren't even thinking of. It's just so good. You guys, this is why I don't do standalone reviews, because now we're about to get back into ramble territory. There is a character in here who I love so much. She knows a lot more about Vis than he's obviously comfortable with, and their interactions, their dynamics, those one-on-one conversations that they have, that is what I love, and that is like what I crave when I'm reading fantasy like this. And it's funny because this is not even a character that I was attached to immediately, definitely not like I was with Hadrian and Empire of Silence. That was a different emotional connection. That was like very instant. But Vis wasn't attached to him right away, but instead I love how Islington made up for that, because you're trying so hard to get acclimated into the world of this book and understand the power dynamics and the structure and how Will works, and you're just trying so hard to like kind of, you know, get comfortable in the story, that by the time that you do, we get the first like real piece of backstory about Vis, and you're like, oh, actually this is a little interesting now. And now you're kind of putting the pieces together about how dangerous his situation really is. This is just, it's excellent. I do think the characters that we get to know outside of the academy are a little bit stronger, a little bit more fleshed out than the ones that we do get inside the academy, and the ones who are Vis's peers as he kind of goes through classes. There is a character Vis gets close to, and I did really love that relationship. But some of the characters who are a little bit higher up in the academy in their classes, I do wish we had gotten a little bit more of an understanding of their motivations for doing things, because by the end I was still kind of like, wait, what is going on, and like, why are some of them involved in different ways? But also on the flip side, that's what makes me so excited for book 2, because there is just so much that still needs to be answered. So many questions that I still have, good questions that you like want to be excited about going into a sequel. I also think the settings we got in this were amazing. I love the academy setting, and just kind of watching Vis navigate that and navigate those power dynamics between all of his peers. I thought that was so good. And it's funny because I'm not someone, I don't dislike, you know, school settings, academy settings, but it's not a buzzword for me in fantasy. If something takes place at a school, I'm not like, oh, give me the book. That's not a selling point for me. I obviously don't mind it, but this was just, I think it was done so well. I do think the classes that we get in this just leave a little bit to be desired, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that was really the point, because some of the scenes when he's at the academy, when like actually in physical class, those scenes go by so fast. Like sometimes it'll just be like a paragraph or two of him in class. And sometimes when the scenes are a little bit longer when he's in the classroom, you know, it's like dialogue that's padding the world building and fleshing out the world building. But some of the things that they're talking about don't really like have context to them, and you're just like, oh, okay, what does that mean? I guess we'll come back to it later. But at the academy, outside of the classrooms, that's what I really enjoyed, and I thought there were just some really interesting relationships building between Vis and the characters there. Yeah, seeing how he used certain situations to his advantage, it was really smart. And there are some things that are revealed and different ways that Vis outsmarts people, and sometimes you're thinking, well, how come we didn't learn that a little bit earlier? That would have been helpful to know 50 pages ago. And then you think about it for a little bit and you're like, no, actually that happened right when it was supposed to. So the structure of it, the pacing of it, the timing and the way that things are laid out, the way that things are fleshed out, it's incredible. And just while I'm still on the settings, there's a setting that we get in the second half of the book that I love so much. I already by that point really loved Vis as a main character, loved following him. But when we get to that setting in the second half of the book, you know, obviously Vis is going to keep growing as a character and get more depth to him as the series goes on. But it was that setting and all of the scenes that and moments that we got while we were at that setting that I think really made Vis a complete character. If you didn't love him in the first half of the book, there is absolutely no way you left that setting not loving him. Oh, it was just so good. So good. So as far as the sequel goes, The Strength of the Few, 100% we'll be diving into it when it releases. I'm so excited for it, you guys. This was such a ride. And just, again, I love good character dynamics, relationships. I love the dialogue that we got in this book, and I'm so ready for more of that in book 2. But I'm also excited to see some of the questions that I still have answered. There's some things in terms of how the pyramid is structured and just like how governance works and who controls certain aspects of the Republic. I do still have little questions about that. Some things that I wish had been fleshed out maybe a little bit more in The Will of the Many, but I can understand why they weren't because there's just so much going on in this book. But I'm excited to see the world keep growing and just those questions get answered. And then I'm really hoping we get just some more detail about the character motivations of some of the characters at the academy, because some of them are a mess. They are a hot mess. And the way some of them treated Vis, the reveals that happened, just even the last like 50 pages of the book, Islington has a lot to answer for in The Strength of the Few. And then just, of course, the ending itself. That was cruel to end a book like that and have the next book not come out till 2025. I can't wait though. You guys, this was incredible. Hopefully I did flesh out my thoughts a little bit more here and this just wasn't more of a ramble. I love some of the quotes that we got in this, the philosophy of some of the characters, and just how we also get different sides of how people think about rebellion, what's right in a rebellion, who's right, whose methods are correct. There's so much of that going on in this. This is just, it's such an ambitious story, I think. Again, just like at its foundation, such a simple structure of this republic conquering different places. But I love how James Islington just kind of grew the story from there, and just it becomes so ambitious and detailed and incredible, and just some of the most memorable moments that I've had in a reading experience in a really long time. So I love this. I can't wait for book 2. So that is it for me, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments if you have read The Will of the Many, what you thought of it, and if you haven't read it, let me know if you're going to be picking it up now. And I will see you guys in the next video, which is going to be full spoiler-free chat about Empire of Silence, another just phenomenal book. So we have a lot to get into with that. I am so excited for my Sun Eater journey. That is it for me. Thank you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.